What up, you bull heckers and mollycollars? This is the Skyler Jarvis Show. I'm your host, Skyler. Man, I thought I'd start out with that just to catch people off guard. What is up, everybody? We're back with another podcast. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since we put out a podcast on WHOLEHEARTED Entertainment and Skyler Jarvis Media. My boy Carson, well, we just got, first of all, we got caught up in a lot of stuff that was going on in February. You know, we watched the Super Bowl together. We was going to do a podcast then, and then everybody was watching the Super Bowl, so we was just like, screw it, let's do it. That rhymed. But, yeah, anyway, it's been going pretty daggone good. It really has. And, you know, then Carson decided to take some time off. So I really think he deserved it. I think he needed it more than anybody. But there's been some stuff that's been going on with me as well that I would like to mention, and just to put this out here because, you know, it's something that I've been going through, and, you know, my depression's come back. I think it's really what it is everything just came to a complete halt. You know, I was working out for a little bit, and then it started getting so cold that, you know, nobody was really wanting to get out. So we just stayed at the house, and it kind of got monotonous after a while. And last week, I was just sitting at my mama's, and it had warmed up. Thank goodness. It had warmed up a little bit last week. And I was just sitting thinking, like, why? You know, because I get really pent up and angry sometimes whenever I stay in the house so long. It's just like, I guess I'm afraid that you know, the whole COVID thing's going to happen again, and I'm going to get stuck in the house, and I ain't going to have nothing to do. But, you know, I think I've still got something. I still got it going. So, but yeah, my depression kind of kicked in these last few weeks, and it's just been, I think what it really was is the bar closing down and all that jazz, you know, just, and then the podcast, me and Carson kind of stopped doing podcasts, and that kind of affected it a little bit because I was, you know, I was dying to have something to do, and then, you know, the one place I could go to actually get, you know, out of the house and have some fun was closing down. So that really affected it. And then, you know, Carson, you know, coming over here and doing these podcasts, that is, I mean, it's productive for me because I can get myself out there, and I can talk to people that, you know, that watch this and maybe can relate to some of the things I'm talking about on here, or maybe you find it interesting. So, you know, it's kind of crazy, like all the stuff that's, you know, the stuff that's been going down. You know, Carson, I tell you, Carson, I just don't see how he does it. Even now, like, he took a break, but, you know, for the past year, he'd just been going at it full force. You know, he would come back, he would do a podcast, and then he would turn right around and go do a music video. He'd shoot a music video, then come back, do another podcast, and then he'd have to get it all together and work on this and that, and work on the music video, make sure everything's good, then he'd put it up there. So he was working mad hard just to get some of this stuff out. So, if any time in the future that these big cuts happen, we don't do one every week. We're gonna try. We're gonna try. I just don't want to overwork Carson. You know what I'm saying? He's not a workhorse. But if you notice we're not posting every week, bear with us because maybe one of us is tired or maybe just stuff isn't going the way we need it to, and we can't get a podcast out. So most of the time, if we got one out and we don't put it exactly out on Wednesday, we'll get one on Thursday. So I want to thank everybody for sticking with me and bearing with me through all this stuff. And yeah, man. So as I was saying earlier, whenever I get in the house just for a certain amount of time, if I really 2 days is enough to send me over, because it's like most of the time when I'm at the house, I do nothing. I lay, sometimes I'll lay around, I'll have lazy days, and I've been having a lot more of those here lately because there ain't really been much to do. And usually if it's good weather, I like to get outside and just, I'll have a swing in my mama's backyard, and I'll swing on it, just look at nature and put some music on, have me a good time. You know what I'm saying? So I haven't really been able to do that because the weather has been so up and down. Like, I think it was the week before last that we were supposed to get a snow, and it got really cold. It got really cold. Cold enough to where if it did do some precipitation, it would stick, Well, Mama and Papa didn't think it was going to do anything to begin with. They didn't know. Some of it was saying 1 inch, 2 inches. Some was saying 3 to 4 inches. I mean, it was all over the place. Calculations were all over the place. You would look on one phone and it'd say one thing, and then you'd look like not even an hour later, and it would have something different. It's crazy. So we wake up and there's no snow on the ground. There's just a few flakes. Me and Mama were very disappointed. I was like, man, because I'm not a big fan of cold weather unless it snows. If it snows, you'll catch me out there all the time. Like, if as much as I can get out there before the snow goes. I am a child at heart when it comes to that. I really love me some good snow. And it didn't come. And we were getting ready, me and Mama. We were going to go out there. We usually go like at 1 or 2 in the morning. And we'll go out there and we'll have us a ball. We will have us a ball out there in that snow. And that didn't happen, and I pretty much stayed in the house all day. None of us really knew how it was going to pan out. Some people got snow. Lucky bastards. Them some lucky bastards, man, I'm telling you. We didn't get crap over here. We just got a few flurries. For those of you lucky bastards who got some snow, man. Send some over to Taylorsville. So, it did snow, like, I think about a month. About a month before that. And it actually snowed pretty good. Me and Mama were able to get some sledding we got to go to Chris's place and sled down Barracks Mountain. So, I don't know if I talked about that on one of the podcasts. Right? Somebody refresh my memory in the comments. So, yeah, we had a good time there. And then just everything stopped for me. You know, the bar was supposed to be closing around this time, and it really sucked. And I really want to talk about that right quick. You know, I mean, Chris is ready to move on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's ready to move on. But I will say, man, I really enjoyed going up there. And the crazy thing is, up until they closed, I stopped really going up there as much. And I felt like I really needed to, because there wasn't enough people coming to support. You know, and then the very last day they were supposed to be open, everybody floods in, and everybody wants to say goodbye, and, you know, hoping it could come back one day. I don't know, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say this right now. You know, people, whatever drama happened between the owner and, you know, whoever it was in this town, I mean, that's y'all's business. You know, y'all, I mean, some of y'all, you know that, you know, I still have respect for y'all. I still have respect for Chris. So, you know, but I just think it should have never happened. I think it should have never happened. You know, Chris gave me such a good opportunity, and on March 30th of last year, gosh, I can't believe it's coming up on a year now. Holy moly. It's also coming up a year since I've been doing podcasts. Ain't that something? So, it should have never happened. And, you know, the first time the bar closed down, you know, I think it was something about a liquor license or a beer license, something like that. Licenses wasn't renewed or something. And there was some stuff that went on behind the scenes that I just don't think should have happened. You know, and I think that was really the downfall, starting to get where people wouldn't come. And then by the end, almost nobody was coming. Like I would pull in, and usually, like when I first started going up there, it was packed almost. Like you almost couldn't get through the place. It was so packed. Every night, people would come every night, and it was just a good place to hang out. And then after April of last year, it went down. It went downhill. People started not to come there and started going to the Brushy Mountain Golf Course instead. And I was just like, man, what opportunities could have came out of, you know, the bar and stuff if that stuff didn't happen. I can't help but think that, man, because I was feeling good. Everybody was really digging it. And like the jam night, I really think we should have kept the jam night. You know, I honestly do, because that was, you know, people would come to hear that. And then, I mean, a house band in a bar in Taylorsville. You can't go wrong with that. And a lot of people, a lot of people for some reason back then was calling it the Skyler Jarvis band, and I was just like, man, I don't think this. I mean, I wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for this band. If it wasn't for Jared, Phil, Randy, all of them, I don't think it would have not happened, because for so many years I was sitting in the building just playing drums on my own with nobody to play with. So that, it means a lot that somebody would get a band together that quick, and we got to jamming. We got good together. I'm not gonna lie, we got really good. And I wish it would have kept on. I wish us as a band, maybe could get back together again sometime. I honestly hope so. And I think it was late 2024, early 2025 when Chris said that they were going to be closing the bar down. And me and Mama can't go by it now without thinking about the times we would come and there would be so many people just piling in. And then we got there the last day, the day before they were going to shut it down. And everybody was there. Everybody in town. I mean, I'm using figure of speech, but still, there was a lot of people there. And then the day after that, me, Chris, his girlfriend, and a friend of his, Ryan, we all went to a Badfish concert, and we had a friggin' great time at the Badfish show. That was a good time. I've always enjoyed seeing Badfish. This is my fourth time seeing them, I think. Mama's fifth. Mama went and seen them when I was smaller, when I couldn't go see them. And then, 3 years ago, I took Mama out to Mother's Day. I took her out for Mother's Day, and I got us a hotel room. We stayed in High Point for that night, and I took my mama out to see Badfish because she really wanted to see him, and she really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, so we've been making it a point to come every year that they come around here. And it was so good. It was so good. We had there was 3 bands performing that night. Quasi Kings. Shout out to all these bands. Quasi Kings, Cashed Out, and then Badfish went on last. Badfish was the main event. And this is the first time I've actually been to Amos South End. It's in Charlotte. And Chris really liked it. We tried to get Chris the third time I went. We tried to get Chris to come. And Ryan ended up having to take us because Chris had some stuff to do with the bar back then, and then Chris went with us this time, and he really enjoyed it. So there's a lot been happening since the last podcast. It's crazy too, man, because I think about it, we've been doing podcasts for almost a year. Coming up this June, the Skyler Jarvis show will be. Hold on, the Skyler Jarvis show is 9 months old, I think. 9 months old. Yeah. So at the end of June, 8 months, I think. Hold on. 8 months. 8 months. Sorry for that pause, guys. I was trying to calculate everything in my head. 8 months of Skyler Jarvis Media. 89 subscribers. Guys, thank you for all the support. I can't express to you how much y'all supporting this channel means and helping me want to do good podcasts, you know? Wow. It's breathtaking. I'm telling you, like I couldn't imagine myself being here even in early March of 2024. If you would have told me I would have been doing a podcast later, like a year later, I'd have probably laughed in your face. And I say that a lot, but that really means a lot. Being able to do this and share with you guys what my feelings are, what's my everyday experience in life. So after that, everything kind of stopped for a little bit. Carson started burning out. He was, and you got to understand, like, he'd been going full force for the past 2 years. Like, he was going a year before we even met. So, that definitely takes a toll on somebody. And yeah, man. So after that, stuff started going to. My depression started coming back because we started more and more. It started to get more cold around that time, and I was trying to work out and keep a schedule, and couldn't really do that. It was real cold, so we weren't really getting out, and I wasn't really going up to Mama's, so that kind of stopped for a little bit. I would still sit and do exercises. Like, I'll take an exercise ball in between my legs and I'll lay on my back and just lift that ball over my head, or lift that ball up in the air, and then I'll turn around and do the same thing laying on my back. Or I lay on my stomach the first time. Dagnabbit, I can't get it right. And then I'd turn around and do it on my back and, lift them up that way. And that's a good exercise. That's a good thing to sit and do at home if you can't go to your gym, or sit-ups, stuff like that. And it just started. I started getting cooped up in the house more, and it really messed with me. It really did. And hopefully, it's going to start warming up. I mean, it's been warm for the last week, but hopefully it stays that way. That way I can get out and swing and do my thing outside. And man, that the whole depression thing, like it can get pretty intense sometimes, especially all kinds of stuff going on in your family, stuff's going on at your mama and papa's house, it can get pretty intense just being cooped up in the house and you ain't got nobody to really talk to but your family, And family's good people to talk to. It's just sometimes there's things that you don't really need to talk to your family about, or you don't really feel like, especially when it comes to other family members. And that just sets in, and sitting around the house doesn't help. I have nothing to put my mind on besides sit and listen to music, maybe play some video games, read a little bit, think about how I'm gonna get out of the daggone house, thinking about what I'm gonna do once I get out of the house. That's the thing, for me when I'm stuck in the house. I'm always thinking about what I'm gonna do when I get out of it. And then the next day I'm thinking about what I'm gonna do to get out of it, because like you can step out of your house, and I'm not gonna lie, I get to a point where, like, even stepping outside of your house, it gets monotonous because it's the same place and it's the same thing. It'll get tiring, and you want to go explore other parts of where you live. And I get that way sometimes. But on something to end on, what keeps me grounded? Well, now it's a little easier to stay grounded because I have this. I have y'all, and I can get on these videos and I can talk about stuff like this, and maybe somebody can relate, or somebody can hear what I'm saying and understand, and if somebody relates to it, that's even better. That's what keeps me grounded, keeps me wanting to get past all this bull crap. Anybody that has depression knows how hard it can be. And I'll tell you, the best way to help depression is to do something to get your mind motivated. Do something that gets it thinking. Do something that is going to get it off of that. And sometimes even that can be hard to do, but it can be done. If you're really wanting to get out of it, it can be done. It takes a lot of willpower. And sometimes you won't. Sometimes it can, like I said, it can get intense. And not gonna lie, mine was pretty intense, so I really hope you guys can relate to it. So I guess this is going to conclude today's episode. Hope you've enjoyed it. And I think we'll be back doing podcasts regularly. So if I seem kind of nervous, I guess it's just being in another room. I'm just but and on top of that, I ain't done one in a good minute, so it's kind of taking me a minute to get used to it again. See, once everything starts coming to a screeching halt, it's like you're trying to take it all back in again. It's like, okay, let me get used to what I'm doing here. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and without further ado, this is the Skyler Jarvis Show. I'm your host, Skyler, signing off. Peace!